Welcome to another episode of Chatty Hosts, and today we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic that I think is going to be quite interesting for the viewers as well. And it might touch some heartstrings, so just feel that and know that it's going to be okay. So the topic really is all on mourning the life you thought you were going to have.
Just take that in. Yeah. Actually, guys, literally am I not in blood. One about really what is it? Just he was lost of one, I'm good to go.
So yeah, we're basically just gonna share our understanding of the topic and maybe bring in some of our experience of where we felt that, but especially our generation today and the ages that we are. You know, some of us who are watching are probably finished with school or finished with certain kind of educational level, and maybe we are sitting there thinking, damn, I haven't really gotten to where I thought I was going to be. And we're just going to, first of all, normalize that. Like, it's okay. We've all been there. But what we're going to talk further into it, you're going to realize that you are moving in towards the life that you want, just not the way you thought it was going to be. That's really it.
That's how you place it. You are moving towards the life you're going to live, but just not the way you predicted,
not the way
that it is. So with that, I just feel like as people, we tend to put so much pressure on ourselves to get somewhere, and not understanding that the process being longer doesn't mean that you're not going to get there. It might take an hour, a day, month, weeks, years to get to the where you need to get, but at the end of the day, you're gonna get there. And as you said, also last podcast, healing is circular. Progress is also circular. Growth is also circular. It's never ending. You could never say, I'm done, I've accomplished, I've graduated, I'm working. After working, you're gonna wanna push to a higher rank at work. You're gonna wanna probably leave that job and get something else. Therefore, we shouldn't pressure ourselves to try to figure things we don't have answers to.
And especially at like a very young age, like, you know, we're told, even from school, like, you know, you need to know what you need to do, you need to know. Now, we're not dispelling that. I think it's very important to at least have some kind of structure, understanding of what you want to be. But it's important that we don't live in the systematic mindset. So if I'm going to share my personal experience, I thought I was going to, you know, finish school, go to university, become a social worker, and open my own practice, and that was it. That did not happen.
No, that took some my effort.
It took some, and I'll never forget, and I'm thankful for the support that I had, but I'll never forget how destroyed I felt the day I received my school marks, and they were not
what you expect.
I mean, I barely passed. And also financially, my family, we were just not able to go to university, you know, and go that route. So automatically I felt like a failure. I was like, great, I'm going to get nowhere in life. And then immediately my mom had to be like, no, Austin, it's just going to be a different step. So, you know, I think, you know, I went off to the desert in Botswana, did some missionary work with my grandmother, and that was a huge changing experience for me. And then I ended up, you know, really listening to people's stories and becoming more invested in what I wanted to be, which was a therapist. Then I, you know, came back home, worked for my mom in the holiday accommodation industry, which is part of my business now. And through that, I also just doors opened for me, you know, because I surrendered. I accepted that I am going to get to where I want to be, but again, just not the way I thought. And when I look back now on how my life has been, I wouldn't want it any other way. Because, I mean, so instead of going through the front door as I thought, I went through the back door, or maybe even through a window. And I've had out.
You got in the other day.
See, that is another point. Like, we got in. I mean, the amount of experience I have in the counseling world is I can never get that from going the way I thought I was going to go. So that's just something I want to give to you, is that you just got to change your thought process on getting to your end goal. And also for some of us, it changes.
A lot.
You know, like maybe we want to be an accountant, and then, you know, we do the internship and then we realize, hell, this is actually not what I want to do at all. And then it changes. Or maybe even through that accountant work, you open up a new branch or a new avenue that comes to you and you actually like that. So what I want to say is, don't take yourself too seriously or your path too rigidly, because you're going to limit yourself.
I love what you said there, actually. And also, I think it's important to know that you don't need to know where you're going either.
Love that.
So things can fall through, you can realize it's not for you, and you can actually sit in that not knowing. And when you're there, you have this wonderful opportunity to explore other topics, to explore yourself. And ultimately, you figure out that it's not about that goal. It's about the journey getting there. It's about exploring yourself. Life is not, oh, I now became the doctor, I'm now...
We're out of the compete. Like,
yeah. It is about how we spend our time, how we evolve, how much time we reflect on. Like, it's about the relationship we create with life more than the milestones that we have planned out. Because I know from my personal journey, I am in no way at all saying who I thought I would be at 16, and then again at 18, and then again at 21. And now I'm like, my younger self would not want what I want now in any way at all. But I am so much happier than that version of me that I wanted to be.
True. I love that, because we always consistently evolve it. Like, would you say your younger self would not want what you want right now in the mold of you right now? Probably look at what you wanted back then, but wow, I really want to live myself.
Never.
And Weston, coming back to what you said as well, I remember there was a conversation we had in the car about life doesn't always have to go according to the book or what we raised or told. Because, as I said, like, I studied media brokers and journalism. Did I ever write for any place? No, I've never. Have I ever done any work with regards of media? A tiny little bit. And now I find myself in health and wellness, something I never thought I'd be in. Because my heart, I was like, I don't know, you need to do entertainment, you need to do that, you need to do that. And right now I find myself in a space that actually excites me. Well, it still does excite me, and I'm learning more about myself and the human body, things to do, things to avoid. And as you said, I'm learning something different. Had I planned to just be in entertainment, I probably would have neglected my body more as to how I am loving my body right now. And it opened a different door to self-love. And also, with the working, you don't always have to do things according to the book. Some people, myself for example, I've learned about business because I was studying things because I just know how to sell things. And then that has just been a thing. The theory to it, I'm just applying it after. Sometimes you just need the experience. Yeah. Acquire it. I love what you said, that you actually had to go into the desert, work with people, understand what it means to be a social worker and one people. And now it's just coming back to me like, okay, cool, I know what to do, but just give me the logistics behind it. Let me just actually, let me have a piece of paper that can confirm that I know what it is.
Yeah. You went to just... No, I really like what you said there. And also specifically on this path, like this traditional sort of timeline we have. And I love that you said that, because it's like every generation has a different sense of what tradition is. What tradition are we basing on? Are we talking about the 21st century? Are we talking about our grandparents? Are we talking about their grandparents? It's a very different timeline. For instance, 150 years ago, it would be marriage and kids for us, no studying at all. Now they tell us we must be married by a certain age, they be by a certain age. But I look at people who followed what they're supposed to do, and they don't look very happy with themselves.
I don't know whether they destiny or
actually, I mean, there's been, sorry, but it's like, wow, what a, like, nail in it there. Something, like, we've been dealing with this, especially in the therapeutic world. Some people just have a meltdown. They said, I've achieved everything that I was supposed to achieve.
But still,
Yeah.
oh my word, continue.
Because ultimately, that's not the point. It's not about the story and the way it looks and the way you're supposed to do it. It is about what is your life path? What did you come here for? Why are you here on earth? And I always say that for a reason.
For a reason. And
Regardless of what you believe, because I think that will vary among us even. What is your reason for being here? What is your gift to this earth? Because I promise you, at 16, when we were applying for university, we did not know what our gifts were. And chances are we don't really know exactly.
it's all like learning.
Yeah. So to the young viewers out there as well specifically, you know nothing, we know nothing. We are young adolescent beings, and at the ripe age of under 30, our experience in life is not much. And as much as we may have developed ourselves and worked on ourselves, chances are by the time we reach 30 or 40 or 60, our priorities and what we want from life will be shifted. And we'll have known so much more, and we'll realize how much this path that we chose has better the path.
Amen.
Yeah.
I've got something to say, and it comes back to just like address or like putting it out there. The book I'm reading, what is it called? The 5 AM Club. The writer says that the older we grow, we forget to be happy. We forget that when we were younger, we were so carefree and playful and joyful. The older we get, we forget to laugh more, to be calm and joyful and accept everything and be grateful for being able to see the plants, breathing in fresh oxygen, to laugh, to take
oneself so seriously.
It's an inner child.
I think that inner child is what we need to feed more to. Because coming back to pressure and like the lives we set for ourselves, you put yourself under so much strain and stress to try to achieve everything.
Expectation that you place on yourself, which no one else has placed but you.
And then coming back to a meltdown when you've achieved everything else because you've forgotten to truly make yourself happy and feed that inner child in you.
And you know what helps me a lot to just remember that? And this is going to be very controversial and a little bit straight, so I do apologize if it's triggering. In a billion years' time, the sun will swallow the earth, and there will be no history that any of us ever existed. The only thing that matters in this exact moment and every moment to follow is our own fulfillment. Not even happiness, fulfillment with the life that we've chosen and the way that we spend our time. We're not promised 80 seconds from the moment we start realizing that to the end of the time that we're given. We're not promised anything else on that. But we do have the power to decide how we use that time and what we decide to do at that time. And to change when we realize that it doesn't serve us.
Love the fact that you said it's power, because it is for us to take control of how we want to navigate our lives, how we want to live our lives, how we're going to make ourselves happy, choose what serves us and what doesn't. And we're seeing it as if it's easy, but it's actually very tough.
No, it's a practice.
It's very
Trust me, when I realized that my path wasn't the way I thought it to be, I completely had it was difficult. And I also want to draw upon that, like, this is where the Mourning part comes in, because I think first I just want to say, like, you're not a failure. I think that's the number one. Again, coming back on expectation, I think on ourselves, you know, we have to be careful because there's been multiple situations where people take their
lives
when we forget that there's still this whole world, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, in Mourning, there's that graph. In the beginning, the realization comes, oh no, I didn't achieve. Okay, we're going to put that in brackets because the minute you accept this new life and you surrender.
I love how you always say surrender, because at the end of the day, he just genuinely ready to surrender, to be like,
let go. You know, you can only control really the way you react to it. And that's basically it.
This might be my favorite top podcast we've had so far. Honestly, continue.
But yeah, so you have to understand that you're going to go through the emotions. So you're going to, I was in denial. I was like, no, it's fine. It's all going to work out. I'm going to just go to the, help my grandma out, help my mom out. Then after that, I'll get my degree.
Everything was going to be okay.
Well, I'll get accepted into university and go. Didn't happen that way. So you go through the denial. Then there was this point where you kind of hit like, not a midlife crisis, but you get depressed. You
No, for me.
You completely...
It's the death of the old.
Yeah, you realize like, oh my gosh, I'm actually not going to get like I've missed the mark, like the made up mark. And then, then I was questioning, do I actually really want to be a therapist? Or am I supposed to be a therapist? And then, you realize, yes, it's still happening because I was still pursuing it, but just not the way I thought I was going to pursue it. So then eventually, and this is the important part of that dip, we've got to make sure we don't stay there. And it was acknowledge the life that you thought you were going to have and start embracing this new life now. The fact that, okay, cool, I'm not going to go to university. What do I want to do? I know that might sound a bit like out of control, but it really is. Like you literally surrender. Yeah. And once that happens, you start to come to acceptance, and and then the actual doors start to open up. You got to believe that, because doors started opening up for me. And then when I look at the bigger picture of it all, I'm actually happy that I never fully went to university, because I think at that time there was that whole strikes that were happening.
Yeah. So for the greater good.
Yes, I have like you got to understand that, I'm coming from a Christian perspective, God has a bigger plan, not this simplistic one that us as humans do for me. Exactly. Because now I don't ever look. I love the university. Look, it's beautiful and it's lovely, but I can't imagine now living in a lifetime now where I'm just going to university.
We've dedicated most of your time
I love the fact that I can study online,
work,
and I can work. It's not just because the costs that would have been involved.
Staying at risk, all of those things, extra groceries.
And I'm not trying to say for those who are going that process, that's wrong. But I think the way society at that time for me was preaching it was like, you have to do it that way. So we also have to question the context in which we live in, and does it apply to you? Because not one size fits all. And the minute you can accept that, you can also you stop putting judgment on yourself. You realize that actually doesn't fit for me. Then another way will fit. And yeah.
I specifically like what you said there. But also to clarify, if things are continuously not fitting, you need to evaluate that. Are you just not actually putting in the work and discipline? Because there's a rule of 3. 1 hard work, 1 happiness, 1 sadness or difficulty. Every situation, half of it you'll just be working, half of it you're going to love. And if there's not a third where it's difficult and challenging, you're not evolving. If you're not growing from that experience. We see suffering as this bad thing in any terms, small and large, but it's inevitable in life. And that is where your growth comes in. So if you are shifting constantly, you want to treat yourself. Why are you not staying where you are? Why are you not growing in that environment? Is it because you can't handle the stress, or is it because it's wrong for you? And technically only you can tell. Yeah. But you need to look at your life and figure out what you are doing, why you're doing, and what's motivating it. So for instance, us all wanting to go to university was mostly motivated from our teachers and our parents. Us choosing not to was definitely motivated by ourselves.
And the environment. Sometimes there's a bigger plan.
Absolutely.
And also, before we recorded, I said it's genuinely okay to not be in control.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to be out of control, because guess what? Some situations are larger than us. And we panic so much when we lose control. And it's like, all that energy of panic could have been invested in something greater.
Yeah.
Something more positive, something more lighter, and something that calms you down. Sometimes let go and let God. Yeah. Or let the universe, or just allow nature to take its course. And things that we're not God to narrate, paint, have things in order. Allow it to flow.
Allow it to flow. I love that. Again, I think we can all acknowledge this. COVID was a perfect example of not having control.
Trust that. Deuces, just let it be and adjust.
Sure, all of us and the viewers as well, we're acknowledging that huge change.
And it's okay to mourn the life that you thought you were supposed to have that has now been derailed by this global event. And by mourn, it would literally mean go cry,
Yeah.
Go feel sad. Get angry. Get
Sleep in the whole week.
to start. Feel it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Austin said something. I'm thinking of time, but I'm going to forget. You said something of, oh my word, it's going to get to me and it's going to bring me to break that I can't get. Of feeling sad or you felt a bit depressed. When we're out of control of things and when you're trying to go to school, there was a time where you felt confused and a bit depressed. Are you guys saying that it's okay to feel those feelings and allow yourself to go through that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You need to allow, then sleep in, but don't try to kill yourself.
Yeah, that's the thing. So in the therapeutic world, especially when we are dealing with people who are going through mourning, we just really watch the dip part. Because then you can either sink in where we feel sorry for ourselves and we feel like the world owes us a living. Now, yes, it's okay to embrace that shadow side, that side of you, but as long as you don't stay there for too
long,
you've got to get out eventually.
And just a bit of clarity, shadow side is the sides of you that are portrayed as negative for society's eyes. It's not necessarily negative. Whatever that is. On the topic of depression is a sign that something in your life is no longer working. And when we get to a point of suicidal thoughts or tendencies, it is a version of yourself that is now past its expiry date. It's a side of you that needs to be let go. And we feel this need to die because there's a version or part of ourselves that needs to die so that we can be birthed into that new version. So instead of feeling like, oh my word, my life sucks, it's no, oh my word, what in my life is not working anymore? What do I need to step above? What is this rebirth asking of me?
Rebirth, thank you.
It's a rebirth.
Letting I've got an example to make. Like I have a friend in Cape Town. The lease is ending and she needed to move before month end, and she's just been panicking. Like she hasn't been finding place, people haven't been confirming her. And then I think her phone broke, so my phone is scattered. And I'm like, how are you feeling? She's like, I'm not feeling bad, but I know that something good is going to come out and something had to kind of break or come to an end for a new space for new energy to cut in. It's just like, yeah, I feel the devil is at work and it's trying to bring me down by all means. Everything is just overwhelming me. But instead of dwelling in all of that, I'm acknowledging that all of this hardship, something good is going to come out of us. Like, wow. When you really change your mind of like, all these punches I'm taking, I know at the end of the day, I'm going to be good.
And I'd love to touch on that. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Abraham Hicks. She's a wonderful, her name's actually Esther. Long story. So she channels and she gives the most incredible advice. And one of her biggest things is when you grasp onto something, you're holding on so much, but you don't know it that the minute you let go of it, it falls away. And this new thing comes in. So that ability to just be like, because when we hold up, oh no, where's my request, where's that, we're not actually being like, it's going to work out.
It's going to work out.
If you hold the door shut because you're scared of the wind coming in, you don't realize that by letting go of the door, the wind comes in, sweeps the leaves away, and suddenly there's sunshine.
That's beautifully said.
And it's that act of, okay, this is not working for me, or I really want to hold on, but is it actually serving you? Is it actually serving you? Or is the act that's needed to just allow the new shift to fall in? And you can't pull it in. You can't drag it in. You don't drag the clouds in. They come when they're needed. And there's nothing we can do to control living in that present element. And it's okay to be sad about what weeps. Yeah.
I just feel like I just had therapy today. This has been great because I've been in a space where I'm trying to decide what to do with a couple of things. And I'm just like, conclusion. Found answers right here in this conversation. This is great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for tuning in. And, again, like and subscribe and check us out.